Hey guys, I'm here to present my version of Hogwarts that I created on The Sims 4, available for download on the Sims Gallery. I put the link below the video. There's absolutely no custom content, though I did use almost every single pack in the game to decorate it the most effectively. This video will provide a walkthrough tour of the vast majority of the 100 plus rooms and locations. They are created from various sources and images, including the books, the movies, the video games, the Marauders map, the Pottermore website, the Harry Potter Lexicon website, Universal Studios, and some locations from the Harry Potter Hogwarts Mystery mobile game as well. Some of the iconic locations in this tour include the underground chambers from the Sorcerer's Stone and the Chamber of Secrets. I did leave out some random bathrooms, empty classrooms, and teachers' bedrooms from the tour, but you can see some of those additional images on a Tumblr page I created. The link for that is also listed below. So I decided to provide some top-down photos of the layout before getting into the tour so that it will be easier to follow along with navigation and keep track of where you are in the castle. I divided the sections into north and south according to their directions on the pictures because that is the easiest way to navigate all of the rooms I've found. I also divided the sections into exterior, interior, above ground, below ground, and one section is below ground under the Great Hall and entrance hall area to try to make the layout less confusing. Some additional background. I started making this version of Hogwarts probably a couple of years ago, but I held off once I finished the exterior in the hopes that someday we would get either spiral or L-shaped staircases, otherwise my layout would have been impossible. I wanted to be able to have staircases that looped around the interior of towers for navigating the various levels. Once L-shaped stairs were added to the game, it easily took me several months to complete the interior. My exterior, as you'll notice, is not shaped exactly like Hogwarts should be, with the Great Hall in a diagonal, but I was more concerned with space economy in this case, so that I would be able to add more rooms to the design. I playtested as I went along, so navigation to anywhere in the castle is possible, including the teleportation devices from the Realm of Magic pack. I did discover one mistake down in the dungeons when I was trying to access potions in the potion storeroom. I accidentally blocked the doors at some point, but it's easily fixed in your own game, and I did fix it in the video as well. You will of course notice that a lot of locations aren't exactly where they should be, according to the books and other various sources and maps, but I did the best I could with the space limitations of a 64 by 64 lot. Unfortunately, I did have to cut off the clock tower courtyard from the design because it extends too far away from the main building shape. The first exterior location we'll look at is the owlry. There really wasn't a good way to make the owlry small enough to fit on the map and allow for the correct shape with any of the staircases in the game, so I created my own staircase that is not actually usable. Here we're coming up to the Transfiguration Courtyard. I feel like I combined a couple of different versions of the courtyard from images from the various movies and games because this courtyard seems to vary a lot between sources. Next, we head down the herbology corridor and out into the greenhouses. The first greenhouse is modeled after a lesson with mandrakes, with gnomes replacing the mandrakes in game. Here we see Professor Sprout in her bedroom, and then I added a couple more greenhouses where I just completely fabricated the interiors. Here's a closer look at the boathouse. This also has a couple of different versions depending on which movie you're looking at. I added some iconic underwater locations as well, including the giant squid, a little homage to the mer people, and some Grindylows sneaking around in the weeds. Now we'll move on to the north side interior of the castle, beginning specifically with the main entrance courtyard, entrance hall, and great hall. The entrance hall was another location where there were a lot of different versions for how it appears. I chose to use the movie version with the giant statue and added some proclamations from Umbridge, since the Order of the Phoenix is by far my favorite book. The Great Hall appears large on the outside compared to the rest of the castle because I wanted it to fit all 4 house tables and match the movie images as closely as possible. Next, we're moving on to the grand staircase. It's 8 stories tall with portraits lining the whole thing. Right when we first get up here, you'll notice the portrait of the fat lady outside Gryffindor. Going through, I had to add a little hallway just to make it fit correctly. And then we move into the common room. For all the dorms, I made sure to provide 4 beds for everyone. That was the maximum number I could fit, and all the beds are usable. Now we're back out on the grand staircase, moving on to a different corridor. Here I added the swamp hallway, created by the Weasley twins, with poor Filch stuck ferrying students across. Continuing on down the hallway, that statue is supposed to represent Rowena Ravenclaw with the eagle knocker on the door. That brings us into the Ravenclaw dormitory and up into their common room. Continuing our trek down the hallway, we come to the girls' bathroom, where Harry and Ron rescued Hermione from a mountain troll. In retrospect, I should have stuck a wand up his nose and put in some spraying fountains, but we'll just pretend this is early on in the fight. Moving down to the first floor, we come upon the stone gargoyle guarding the entrance to Dumbledore's office. I had to move the actual entrance to a different spot nearby because the gargoyle doesn't let a sim pass by in that tiny space. Now we enter Dumbledore's office and get a good view of him and Fawkes in the background. Here are all the portraits of past headmasters, and the stairs lead up to a telescope on the next floor that is meant to mimic what we see in the Harry Potter Hogwarts Mystery mobile game. We're starting back out at the Owlery now just to get a sense of location. There's a side entrance here that is meant to be coming from the area where flying lessons occur, and we end up back in front of the stone gargoyle. Now we're moving down a hallway to one of several spiral staircase towers located throughout the castle. This tower has a ladder at the top to connect with divination class taught by Trelawney. Back outside her class, we continue on and come to the clock tower. I remember a few of the games making use of all these gears to create tasks for fixing them with magic. Back at the stone gargoyle as our location anchor, we head down the hallway to a slightly different corridor, and this first door leads to Charms class. This room I tried to faithfully create according to how it appears in the movies, and I didn't have a lot of space, so your Sims can't actually travel behind any of the desks. Down the hallway, we come to the library with Madame Pince, yet another room that appears different in the various games and movies. Now we move on to the Chamber of Secrets. I think some arch music to accompany this part of the tour is warranted. Any music I have in this, I just took from YouTube studio songs I found so that there are no copyright issues. The entrance to the Chamber of Secrets is easily accessible to your Sims, just like most locations in the castle. Now we'll move to the other above ground portion of the castle on the south side of the map. Over here, we enter into the viaduct entrance, and we'll use this point as an anchor for exploring this portion of the castle. First, we head to another spiral tower staircase that leads to the astronomy tower and astronomy class. Next, we'll start making our way over to Transfiguration. On our way there, we pass by the Transfiguration courtyard again before heading down the herbology corridor. I couldn't directly connect the Transfiguration entrance to the courtyard because of the shape the class needed to be in and because of space limitations. Now we are making our way over to Defense Against the Dark Arts. The theme of the classroom itself changes on a yearly basis, so I modeled this classroom after third year when Professor Lupin was teaching and had magical creatures all over the room. However, moving up to the office, I modeled it after my favorite book again with a detention desk. Moving upstairs to the viaduct entrance, we enter into the hospital wing. Most of these windows don't actually look outside, but I put them in so the room would look more accurate. Now we're coming up to a tapestry corridor, as seen in several of the movies and games. We'll take a quick step outside to what is supposed to be the stone bridge, and it gives us a little bit of a different view of the castle. The way my castle is designed, the other end actually just connects to the Ravenclaw dormitory. Up these stairs is McGonagall's office, with her overview of the flying lessons courtyard. I really don't know why McGonagall wasn't wearing shoes. Sometimes the mannequin outfits get messed up for no apparent reason. Now we're up on the third floor with a few more rooms to visit in this portion of the castle. First, we come over to one of the Room of Requirements, this one modeled after the DA, Dumbledore's army, in the 5th book. Next, we move over to the staff room, which is technically supposed to be on the ground floor. The door is flanked by the 2 stone gargoyles that bug students trying to get into the room. Last on this floor is Professor Binns' History of Magic class. The last location to visit from the viaduct entrance is the Dark Tower. I wasn't able to make it have a connection to the outside so that Sirius can escape, but at least I added a cell. Moving on to one of my favorite sets of locations in the build, we will traverse the underground chambers from the Sorcerer's Stone. Again, your sim can travel all the way to the end of this set of rooms without difficulty. In order to get to these rooms, we travel to the 3rd floor corridor that is supposed to be off limits to students and guarded by a locked door at the end. Now we finally start moving into the basement rooms, and we will begin on the south side from the viaduct entrance. Moving down, the first thing we run across is the statue of the One-Eyed Witch, who guards the secret passageway to Honeydukes in Hogsmeade. Down the next stairway is Divination, this time taught by Firenze, though he'll probably have difficulty with these stairs. Turning back around is another hidden entrance to a room of requirement, the Room of Hidden Things, where Harry finds Rowena Ravenclaw's diadem and the Vanishing Cabinets. Moving down another level, the first room we come across has a dark hallway leading to Sir Nicholas's death day party. There's a band and some moldy food, and Nick stands in front of the Headless Horseman on the far side of the room. Back out in the hallway, we come across some chicken blood writing created when the Chamber of Secrets was first opened. Continuing down, we move into Professor Slughorn's office, where he hosts his slug club and his parties. Now we head into the lowest level of the dungeons. The first room goes to the Dueling Club room, as seen in the Harry Potter Hogwarts Mystery mobile game. Continuing on, we hit a couple of offices, those of Snape and Filch. Filch has some ceremonial manacles hanging from the walls, and Mrs. Norris keeps her vigil on his desk. Turning around, we enter into Potions class with Snape presiding. This classroom setup is the one seen in everything after the first movie. Adding the ingredient jars to the shelves was by far the most tedious, annoying, and time-consuming aspect of the entire build due to manually placing almost every single one, but they seem to transfer from the gallery and they look good, so I thought it was worth it. The last room over here goes to our third and final room of requirement location, as seen in the 8th movie during the Second Wizarding War. It has an escape ladder in the back to get out to Hogsmeade. Now we're back at the grand staircase, which means we've moved back to the north side of the castle underground. Moving up one level to the basement level 3 dungeons, we travel to the Slytherin common room, with green light from the Black Lake penetrating through the windows. There's also a secret passageway from the common room into the Chamber of Secrets. And down this hallway is the Slytherin dormitory. Now we've moved up to basement level 2. Down this hallway is the door to the prefect's bathroom, guarded by the statue of Boris the Bewildered. Inside, we see the intricate bathwater faucet and the golden egg from the Dragon Challenge in the Triwizard Cup. Down this hallway, we enter into another version of what I think is Transfiguration, when McGonagall converted it into a practice dance room for the Gryffindor students before the Triwizard Ball. And the last room on this floor leads to what I imagine the detention chamber might look like. Moving up to basement level 1, there's a large complex of rooms connected off of the grand staircase. There's an empty classroom somewhere on this floor, but the first thing we come to is Study Hall, which I think I've only ever seen in the third movie briefly. I had to search through the movie to find what it looks like. This is my rendition of Arithmancy. Continuing on, we head into what I think of as a second tapestry corridor, even though there were only paintings. The first room is the Room of Lost Wands, as seen exclusively as a location on the Marauders map. Next, we head down the hallway to the art classroom, and the only place I've seen this classroom is in the earlier Game Boy games. I added it mostly for fun. Actually, several of the rooms in this hallway are pulled from the Game Boy games. Next is the Muggle showroom, with examples of technology and the design of a Muggle room leading into the actual Muggle studies classroom. Continuing down, we move into music class. The last room we'll look at on this floor is a small office I made for Flitwick, which ended up being surprisingly close in location to his classroom. I only really created offices and bedrooms for a few teachers whenever I felt it was necessary around the castle. One of the last zones in the castle is the basement locations that are under the Great Hall, more on the west side of the maps. This door in the back of the Great Hall is not actually accessible by your Sims, but I created a back entrance on a lower floor to get down there. First, we cross through the armory and then head into the trophy room. Back in the entrance hall, we can access a stairwell down towards some more underground rooms and corridors. The first room we come across is the alchemy classroom, which is only ever mentioned as being a location on Pottermore that I found. Back out in the hallway, we head to the second room on this floor, which leads to the Ancient Runes classroom. Moving down a level again, we come to a portrait of a pair that guards the entrance to the Hogwarts kitchens. The kitchens are full of house elves with Dobby hanging out and multiple layers of clothing up front. Just down the hallway from the kitchens, we come to the entrance for the Hufflepuff common room. The design of this one is probably one of my favorite rooms in the castle and was based off of images on Pottermore. Down one more level is the Hufflepuff dormitory. The last portion of the tour shows the entrances and locations of the Harry Potter Hogwarts Mystery mobile game, Cursed Vaults. I was playing this mobile game heavily while I built the interior of the castle, so I thought it would be fun to add these locations as well. Most of them are accessed via working portals on the map. If you want to travel to the vaults, click on the location you are going. Don't try to interact directly with the portal itself, as this doesn't work. We've now reached the end of the tour. Like I mentioned earlier, there are links below for both the Sims 4 gallery and for some more images on my Tumblr page. I recently created an updated Quidditch pitch as well, and you can find that under my Origin ID. Thanks for watching.